The name Matt Brown meant something once. To millions of viewers, he was the eldest son of Alaska's most famous wilderness family, strong, capable, and natural leader. But behind the cameras and the adventure, a very different story was quietly unfolding. One that would end in tragedy. This is that story. It all began on May 6, 2014, when Alaskan bush people first aired on Discovery Channel. Billy and Amy Brown, along with their 7 children, were introduced to America as a family living completely off the grid, deep in the Alaskan wilderness, far from modern life. Matt, the oldest of the 7 kids, became one of the most recognizable faces on the show almost immediately. He was the workhorse, the dependable one, always front and center during building projects, hunting trips, and supply runs across remote terrain. Viewers loved him. And for a while, everything seemed fine. But here's the thing, it wasn't. Behind the rugged frontier image, the production was far more structured than viewers ever knew. Camera crews, support staff, transport logistics, carefully planned schedules. The wilderness was real, but so was the machinery surrounding it. And Matt was caught right in the middle, balancing the role of a real person with the role of a television character. As the show's popularity exploded through its 2nd and 3rd seasons, drawing millions of viewers per episode, the pressure only intensified. And something beneath the surface was beginning to crack. By 2016, the first major crack went public. Matt entered rehabilitation for alcohol addiction, his first documented stay at the legendary Betty Ford Center in California. For the first time, his story wasn't about building cabins or scouting new land. It was about survival of a completely different kind. His brothers stepped up. Bear, Gabe, Noah, and Bam Bam took on the responsibilities that had once been his. The show kept moving, but the balance had shifted, and it would never quite return to what it was. Then, just as Matt was trying to find his footing again, the family was hit with something devastating. In April 2017, Amy Brown was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. Doctors gave her an almost impossibly low chance of survival. Some reports put it at just 3%. Aggressive treatment began immediately in Southern California. The entire family restructured around her fight for life. And Matt, he was still fighting his own. 2 battles. 1 family. And the cameras kept rolling through all of it. He came back. He tried. Matt reappeared on screen in brief stretches throughout 2017 and into 2018, but anyone paying close attention could see it. He wasn't the same central figure he'd once been. His appearances felt more like visits than real reintegration. While his brothers built permanent roots on the family's 435-acre property in Washington state, Matt kept drifting. Then, in September 2018, he entered rehabilitation for a second time, voluntarily, after recognizing he was losing his grip on sobriety once again. "Recovery is something you have to work at every day," he said publicly. And he meant it. But the gap between his life and his family's televised world kept widening. What happened next, almost nobody saw coming. By 2019, Matt had quietly disappeared from Alaskan bush people altogether. No farewell episode. No official announcement.
No dramatic exit.
He simply stopped appearing. The show restructured around the remaining family members and kept producing new seasons. Billy remained the patriarch. Amy, who had beaten the odds and survived cancer, became a symbol of resilience. The wolf pack moved on. And the show's oldest son became a footnote. But the story wasn't over, not even close. Then, on February 7, 2021, the foundation of everything shattered. Billy Brown died at age 68, following a seizure at the family's Washington state property. Bear Brown broke the news on social media, calling his father their best friend. The man who had built the family's entire public identity was gone. And Matt, already 2 years removed from the show, was watching from the outside. He spoke about his father publicly in the weeks that followed, suggesting he had found some degree of peace with their relationship before Billy passed. But a bigger, darker chapter was already beginning to unfold. Starting in 2021, Matt began speaking directly to the public through his own social media channels: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. No producers, no network filter, no family present. And what he said painted a very different picture of life inside the Wolfpack. He claimed he had contributed enormously to the show's success but had little control over his own role or compensation. He alleged that when he raised concerns about family dynamics or production issues, those concerns were dismissed because of his history with addiction. In his own words, "Everybody's told me that other people's secrets aren't mine to tell, but they're destroying me, and they've been destroying me for a long time. He went further. He claimed money he earned from a show had been controlled by others within the family structure. He alleged that producers portrayed him as unstable. He even suggested that the environment surrounding the production had contributed to his substance struggles. Discovery Channel never issued a detailed public response. No lawsuits produced confirmed findings. These were Matt's claims, his version of events. But for many viewers, they reframed everything they thought they knew about the show. And then things took a turn no one wanted to see. In late May 2026, reports began emerging that Matt Brown had gone missing near the Okanagan River in Washington state. Authorities deployed boats, sonar equipment, and divers to search the fast-moving, rising water. Conditions were described as dangerously difficult. A witness reported seeing a man enter shallow water before being swept away. Bear Brown began sharing updates publicly, expressing fear that his brother had not survived. The family, according to those close to them, was not sure what to believe, speaking to police and waiting, hour by hour, for news. On May 30th, a body was recovered from the Okanagan River near Oroville, Washington. It was positively identified as Matt Brown. He was 43 years old. His brother Noah had been present at the scene during the recovery. Law enforcement indicated that early findings suggested the death appeared to be self-inflicted. A firearm was reported recovered nearby. The family released statements in the aftermath, remembering Matt as creative, deeply intelligent, and endlessly curious, someone who loved the outdoors with his whole heart. What began with a camera crew in the Alaskan wilderness ended quietly, and painfully, beside a river in Washington state. The eldest son of the Wolfpack had spent years trying to find solid ground, fighting addiction, navigating a complicated family structure, searching for his own identity outside the frame of a television show. In the end, the version of Matt Brown the world saw on screen and the man living his real life had drifted too far apart to reconcile. And that distance cost everything.